Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Come on in.
Hey, Alon. Hey, Shish. Hey, Angie. Hey, Chris. Hey, Greg. Hey, Greg. Hey, Jean. Hey, John. Hey, Jorge. Josh. Lee. Melissa. Neha. Rachel. Hello from sunny Wisconsin. Hey,
Right.
Sheila. Hey, Rafal. Tanya, how are you? Thanks for joining us today.
Feel free to type in the chat where you guys are coming in from.
Yeah, we got another Golly on the line here. Maybe it's a long lost relative, Adil. How are you, Adil? It's a cousin of mine or some from Egypt, potentially.
There you go. San Antonio, Paris.
Exciting.
Wonderful. Rock Hill, South Carolina. I am in Greenville, South Carolina. There you go.
Excellent.
Oh, people from Tel Aviv. Hi, Tel Aviv.
England, DC, Warsaw. Love it.
Warsaw, nice.
You got another Wisconsin.
There we go. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Yolanda. How are you guys? Hey, Russ.
Give everyone a minute to join in. We're a little early. I love the excitement.
Yeah, this is great.
Awesome.
Wednesday after Memorial Day. I love it.
Right.
Muncie, Indiana. All right, Josh, not too far from me. We're experiencing an abnormally high summer already. We're in the high 80s. Here in Wisconsin, we just dive right into summer. We just like gloss over spring and just do a nosedive right into the winter, into the summer. All right.
Yep.
Hey, Greg. Hey, Christina. We got Wendy. Hey, Wendy.
That's probably just perpetual summer, huh?
It is, exactly.
Other England, awesome. Love it.
Fargo.
London.
Fantastic.
Welcome. All right, we'll give one more minute. We'll start 1 minute after here. Welcome, everyone. I love seeing where everyone's from. It's always good. Chicago.
Hey, Russ. All right, not too far from me.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I read
Yeah, you got to do the math on this one. Bonus points if you can do the conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit.
She was kind enough to give that to us.
I think my other daughter just practiced that the other day, actually. Let's see here.
That's my hometown, Atlanta. Welcome.
Hey, let's go Braves.
That's right.
Stockholm, Sweden.
Bienvenidos.
Yep. Oh, yep. Madrid. Wonderful. All right. Howdy. I love it. All right. Panelists, are we ready to get rolling? How are we feeling? Let's do this.
Rock and roll. Let's do this.
Perfect. Well, welcome everyone from all over the world. I love, like I said, I love seeing where everyone is from. It's a really cool thing to be able to do this. So welcome. We have a great webinar for you guys today, and we're thrilled that you took some time to do that especially in the US, a short week. So thank you for spending this time with us. So this webinar is how product managers can do more with less. So, today's world, delivering exceptional results with the limited resources we might be faced with is definitely a constant challenge. So fear not, we're here to equip you with some of the strategies, techniques, tips that will transform your approach. Hopefully we can boost your productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness as a product professional. So no matter where you are in your product management journey, we hope we can inspire you and provide some practical insights for you today. So let me take a really quick minute to introduce our esteemed panelists here with us. First up, we have Ronnie from Craft.io.
Hey,
He's
guys.
got a background, hello, he's got a background in software development and product management, certainly a wealth of experience driving innovation and leading product teams. From his early days in algorithm and front-end development to his leadership roles at Wix and Booking, Ronnie has consistently delivered exceptional products. So let's give a warm welcome to Ronnie. We'll give a little round of applause. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, great being
Good
here.
work. And then we also have Joe from the 280 group here with over 15 years of product management experience at Fortune 100 and 500 organizations. He believes in the power of strong product management leadership and emphasizes transparency, collaboration, and vulnerability within the teams. So we're thrilled to have him as well and sharing his expertise on doing more with less as a product manager. So welcome, Joe. A little round of applause for Joe as well. My name is Kate Fuchs. I'm going to be moderating today. I too am with the 280 group. So I'm thrilled to be here with these two wonderful panelists. So let's get going. All right. All right, so who we are, just a quick introduction of 280 Group. We transform our product management teams. So we would love to help you do more with less. We would love to help you, figure out where to improve upon in your product management journey as a company or as an individual. So please reach out. You can see our values below there, outcomes over outputs, truth tellers in one team. We live that every day, and we'd love to join with you and help transform your product organization. All right, and Craft.io, end-to-end product management platform. We're going to get a little sneak peek as part of what we talk about today. There's some tips that we can offer here as well. But you can see this is a platform for product management teams to help them deliver great products with confidence. You can see the number of things included there. And like I said, we'll touch on some of those as well. And at the end of the webinar, we will also, yep, you can see in our chat too, Joe's already jumping in with some LinkedIn and website information. So we'll make sure that we can get you guys connected, make sure to follow us. But at the end of our webinar today, we'll have some very special offers that I believe today is the last day to grab. So make sure to stick around and take advantage of that as well. All right, so just a little housekeeping. We do have the chat, which I see people using. Wonderful, keep those coming. We also have the Q&A open. So if you have a question that you'd like the panelists to answer during, we're going to have a number of times to kind of chat and bounce off some ideas off each other. And of course, at the end, we hope to have some good discussion and questions answered. So feel free to throw those in there. I'll kind of monitor and we can answer some offline in the Q&A panel, or we can do that aloud for the whole crew. So please feel free to do that. We are recording and we'll send that out via email after as well. All right. All right, so we have a poll to kick things off. So let me go ahead and share our first poll. And there we go. So the question here is, which type of resource do you struggle with the most right now? So our topic is doing more with less. So what is your less? What are you saying? Oh my gosh, I don't have, time, development team, content and product marketing, or UX, CX resources. Right. All right. Keep on answering. And I will share with the whole group in a minute. We've got about 2/3 folks answered. Keep them coming. Ooh, I get to see the results. Finance. That's a great one. Yeah. And feel free to throw in the chat if it's not represented in one of these 4 answers. If there's an area that you're thinking, man, this is really my pain point, throw that in the chat. All right. QA testing. Oh, yeah. That's all of the above. Yeah, we should have made it an all of the above. that wouldn't have served for a good poll. I think everyone might have checked all of it. All right. So I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I'm going to share these results out. So check it out. Looks like we've got very close lack of resources, time, and dev team. Joe or Ronnie, any initial takes when you guys take a look at this?
My reaction is you've come to the right place because we're going to spend majority of the webinar talking about your own time as a product leader, as well as managing your dev time. I mean, we definitely got you covered in this, but we're going to cover product and marketing and UX and CX. But you guys come to the right place. Ronnie, how about you? Any initial reactions?
Well, yeah, this is super interesting. I mean, I can relate also to this poll itself. Time is always a very precious to us, and also 2023 has brought some challenges by itself, and yeah, we will deal with them, with those, to see how we can assist.
Perfect. Yeah, so as product managers, we just validated that you're in the right place. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, let me stop sharing that poll, and yeah, we're going to get into it. So this is really what we just talked to. Too many responsibilities, not enough time in the day, limited team bandwidth. So I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie, rather, and he's going to talk to us about some of the tips and tricks he's used for his work.
Thanks, Kate. So
Yep.
I'll start by talking a little bit about 2023. So as I mentioned, 2023 is challenging, right? We found ourselves with less resources. We are, sometimes you find yourself with less product manager next to you, and also general resources such as developers and UX writers and designers and QA and everything that you need. And strangely enough, we are expected to do not the same, but even more, because you need to hit the goals. There are the next round, the next funding round is just around the corner, and you need to be even better. So, if we can continue, Kate. Yeah, thank you. So, as you know, product management life is not easy, and a lot of tasks need to be done in order to bring product into production or bring into life. So, and I'm not talking only about the many tasks that product managers are doing, including road mapping and spec writing and feedback collection and usability testing and communicating with developers, but also we have many peers and many stakeholders and many dependencies that we have, right? As mentioned, QA and developers and UX and anyone that, and there is a lot of people next to the product table. So next, so luckily, 2023 also brought us really interesting thing, and actually a revolution. So for the ones of you who've been locked in bunker for the past 6 months, so there is a new guy in town named ChatGPT, and also is evil twin Google Bard. So basically, these tools have brought a revolution, and I think that it will shape the lives of each one of us. It will change it, and when a huge wave like this come, it's better to ride it better rather than being underneath it. And I think that we should and can use this kind of tools. So as you can see, so it's really relevant for our daily work of product management tasks, right? So I'll talk just briefly about what is the ChatGPT and Bard. So basically, there are chats. So basically, you can interact, ask questions, ask them do things for you. But if I need to categorize it into 2 categories that are really good in 2 tasks. The first one is generation, or what is called generative AI, meaning that it writes text for you. So you ask questions that, for example, it can answer your questions. It can write for you blog post or everything, and and can assist you with research or stuff like that. And the second one is analysis, which is you bring it text or bring it like a PDF or some text, and does analysis on that text. So if we look into the product management world, so we have various things, and I use it like on a daily basis on a wide range of things. First of all, the immediate suspect is it helps in my team, my peers, my product managers, peers are assisting it to write release notes, support articles. It's really great. For example, if we're doing a lot of research, right? So sometimes they sent you a PDF, or they sent you like a URL to some article, so you can just copy paste it into Bard in this example, and it just summarize it for you with like nice bullets. And you can also collect you can utilize this to analyze the various feedback that you get. So you can get just the main bullet points, or the feature requests, or even it can analyze for you the sentiment of the feedback, which is really good. And also competitor research is great. And another thing that I use it a lot is proofreading. So I'm not sure if I guess that you've noticed that English is not my native language, and it really helps me in the day-to-day life when I need to generate text, and when our product is, of course, international. We interact with international companies, so it really raises the confidence of my language level. So, and it's really good.
Hey, Ronnie, there's a
Yeah.
question in the chat. Is there a preference between using Bard versus ChatGPT for efficiency from your perspective? Or I'll even ask Kate, either one of you guys, is there a difference or a preference?
I can answer that. So first of all, both of them are kind of new, and I'm not familiar with like a comparison like that was like a comparison or benchmark between the two of them. What I know from my experience is, first of all, when ChatGPT provides me like really good results in terms of code chunks and summarization, and I'm using GPT-4, and I strongly recommend it. It also has like really cool plugins that you can utilize, and it's like worth the $20 per month. And on Google Bard, the main advantage of it that it's up to date, and it's really connected to the internet. So, for example, if you have like a link that you want to, to summarize, for instance, so Google Bard is can do really good for this purpose. And but yeah, I would just try to use, for the more complex task, I will try to use them both. And it's also important to note that they're always really thrilled to give you an answer, but always, even if they don't have any clue. So you need to take it to be ready to criticize it, and to take it in the right manner. So, for example, microcopy and everything, it's really simple and really easy to assess it. But sometimes when you're doing competitor research, you really need to challenge the chat and ask follow-up question. One of the really cool things about it, that you can actually make a proper conversation, meaning that you can have follow-up question, or, for example, when if you want to write a blog post about a certain domain, you can ask them to, okay, I want to summarize, please add like a summary paragraph and make it funny. So, there is a lot of tweaks. We can later on share some examples, but so that's about the GPT and Bard. Now, these as mentioned, these are great tools for product managers. But also, one thing is that it also helps you to overcome lack of resources that you have with your peers. So, for example, I get like a really good example that, you know, a year ago, every piece of content was passed via UX writers or content writers. It doesn't matter if it was microcopy or if it was release notes. Everything was passed via content writers. Whereas as today, many of our work is done independently, meaning that I communicate with a ChatGPT and I ask, make it like I need like a microcopy for a certain pop-up or a certain error message or something like that, and it saves a lot of time. First, it overcomes the lack of resources, but second, it also saves you time, because I'm sure that all of you know that it takes time to communicate when you need to explain the feature, and sometimes it takes like an hour of a meeting just to explain the new feature to the content writer in order to write the right content. And it saved this time, and this is quite amazing. But no, it's not only about text. So UX writers and PMMs are product marketing managers. It's quite trivial, but also it's interesting that it can help you to ease the pain of the lack of resources of developers and even designers. So, for example, I'll just give an example, putting aside for a second that ChatGPT is a huge help for developers and it's correlating tools, and said because ChatGPT can also write code, and you can think about that it can replace like it can assist take some of the straightforward tasks. But the nice thing that we as product manager can do, for example, is we can, for example, let's say you have a website and you want to test if the button, how will the button will look like if it's like red and on the center. So you can just ask the chat to provide a CSS, and with minimal knowledge of web development or just browser, you just do right click and tweak it around. You can see how it works, and you can test it around before even talking to developers. So you can bring things that are more robust to the designers or to the developers. So
Ronnie, Ronnie, I have a question for you. So there was a in the chat earlier, you know, there's a lack of product owners, right? So I want to make sure we clarify something here. I think it's important. I don't think what we're saying is it can replace a person, right? We're not saying, you know, AI is your, like, instead of hiring somebody, if you have AI like ChatGPT or Bard, then you're good. You can just use those tools and it can replace the human being. That, I don't think we're saying that, but what we are saying is giving an AI tool like Bard or ChatGPT the amount of right context, it can help you with some of those tasks that a product owner could do, like writing user stories or writing epics. Mm-hmm. But what needs to happen is we need to provide the right context, so that way the epics and the user stories we get out of these tools are meaningful. Is that a fair assumption?
So first of all, the most important thing that for ChatGPT is when you start talking to ChatGPT, start with please do that, because you don't want to mess with ChatGPT when version 6 will come, right? So he will remember you that if you speak to him unpolitely. But beside that, you can think about it as a junior assistant to you, and it can take some of the work. Now, I would assume that in larger organization, if it can save like 20% time of the UX writers, and you have a lot of UX writers, at the end, it can replace. It will allow the company to reduce the number of writers or developers. I don't want to start a hysteria here, but it is a powerful tool, right? And so for product managers, I read an interesting article that was later I didn't summarize it. ChatGPT summarized it for me. That shows about where are the areas that ChatGPT is strong and or less strong or less strong, and creativity and innovation was one part of the thing that wasn't strong. So we product managers are safe for now. And yeah, so for 2023 we're good.
So there's a question in here. It says, what information do you have to feed AI in order for it to be able to explain a feature? Jira tickets, the code itself, like you've done a little bit of this, Ronnie. What's needed here?
So that there is, prompting becomes an art and a profession. So you start it in general, it's interesting because it will add new professions. So there is a new thing called prompt engineers. So and I did a course just out of curiosity, and basically the thumb rule is feed it with the most data that you have. So you can copy paste it a complete feedback, for example, and then you just need to delimit it with like a symbol, like triple ticks before and after, and then you tell the GPT, okay, I'm giving you a feedback that is delimited by triple backticks, and then I want you to do that and analyze that and do the format and output it in a format that I'm convenient with. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I can put a couple links in the chat. And Dean Peters, a consultant at 280 Group, did a couple wonderful, very much specific to ChatGPT and generative AI webinars that walk through some of those, examples, like what needs to go in, to get actual good out, instead of, I think I put in there, garbage in, garbage out is his saying. So you got to make sure you're prompting correctly. But yeah, if you want to check out more in-depth information on GPT and how that can work for you, those are some great ones. The second one really gets into those details. The first one's a little bit higher level. So if you want to, pick and choose, you can, or check them both out. But yeah, so Ronnie, there's a couple other tools, but wait, there's more on the slide. If you want to give us a quick little synopsis of each of these, I think I know I hadn't heard of them all. I think that they could really help a lot of folks. So
yeah, first disclaimer is that every day new AI tools are being published. So I really recommend to follow on Twitter on people that are focused at ChatGPT or Google Bard and you have the plugins. But we need to remember that a part of ChatGPT and Google Bard, there are a lot of AI tools around, and I just named like here a few ones just to give like a taste of the thing that AI can help you. So the first one is Gong AI, which is a tool that is basically, it sits on your Zoom calls and basically transcribes all the sales calls that your sales team is doing. And then it can, first you can search, textual search in all of, in the thing that you're interested at. And more interestingly, you can set alerts that you will get a weekly digest. Say, I want to see all the calls that mentioned capacity planning as a feature. And then it gives you like a weekly digest, and when you click on it, it brings you on the right area of the conversation. So it saves you a lot of time instead of hearing endless calls or being dependent on the sales team. Now, another few really cool tools. So the WordTune is a cool tool to do proofreading and grammar, and it's also give you alternatives, and it's like a Chrome extension that you can just mark a sentence, and it gives you like an alternatives or gives you corrections. Merlin is also a really cool Chrome extension that basically puts the power of GPT in many of the applications. So, for example, if you're using Gmail, so every time that you reply, it will give you several answers for that reply, for that emails, and also a really cool thing that it actually can, if you go to YouTube, it summarizes you the videos, textually summarizes the videos, which is really amazing. 11 Labs is also a very cool thing that basically it's a text to speech, but it's a really good one. And you can also synthesize your voice if you are, or other ones. It's great pranks in the office, but a part of that, it's if you want to make like explainer videos and you want to do like a quick thing that and that sounds professional, that's a great solution for you guys. And GitHub Copilot is something that it's not for product managers, it's for developers, for the R&D, but this is like a transformative tool for developers, no less than that. It's basically allows you can free text and it writes you a code. It can also explain you code of others, and it can also fix your code and write tests, which is mind-blowing. All these tasks, you need the function. I want to parse this CSV and make it into I don't know, JSON. Just write it, and then it gives you like a function, and you can put it into your code. So that's about AI. By the way, I apologize. I don't follow the chat because I'm a male and I cannot multitask. So that's about how AI can help you save time as a product manager. But as we know, and we can move on, as we know that we have a lot of tasks, right? But what about all the things that are in between the tasks? Kate, if you can.
Yeah, I think we have a quick little poll. Yeah, so let's just jump into that really quickly. A lot of good questions about AI. So yeah, no, you're good. So I'm going to open this one up. But I know, I think one of those tools, we had someone comment in the first poll about QA. That sounds like a great tool for that individual too, the last one that you had mentioned, to write those test questions. So yeah, we're curious. How do you use AI to do more with less? We've got don't use it at all. Marketing trends, feature rating, and internal comms. If you have others, please feel free to throw that in the chat as well. We do have some questions. I'll kind of summarize some of these questions too. I know a lot of folks are asking if you'll get a recording or list of the tools, so we will certainly be sending that out. Afterwards, we are recording, and we'll make sure that those registrants receive. So you will receive that email with the recording. All right. All right, let's see. Oh, come on, guys. Come on, y'all. Get those votes in. We've got about half votes. All right. Couple more. All right, I'm gonna count down to 5 from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Looks like we've got some, most folks aren't using, or at least about half, which hopefully you found some good tidbits here. I did put, like I mentioned earlier, a couple webinar recordings in the chat too that gets into more of the details. We've got some marketing and analysis and trends, about 10% each, user story feature rating, 18, and internal comms 12. Yeah, so a pretty good spread from there. I'm curious in the chat if you guys want to, if you have other use cases that you're utilizing AI for, that you found it to be really helpful in. We'd love to hear what you're using. curious, Rodney and Joe, if you have any, reflections or reactions to the poll.
Yeah, for me, because I wear a marketing hat and a product hat at the same time, and product, actually I wear multiple hats. But I like the marketing because writing social media posts, like that gives me a little like concern because I'm, like I need help with that creativity. So like feeding it the context, really streamlining some of those processes so I don't have to bother our marketing team. To me, that's the big one. And then analysis and trends. I think Ronnie mentioned it, where you're, submitting a URL or you're entering a comma delimited table and you're asking for key takeaways, recommendations. It's not perfect the first couple of times, but once you learn how to massage it, it can help you streamline some of those tasks that maybe you don't have enough time in your day to spend the time like you used to. So those are my reactions. Dean, if he were on the call, would show you some really cool techniques on user story and feature writing. But again, the garbage in, garbage out. You got to focus on really good context building and prompts into GPT or Bard before you're going to get meaningful user stories and features.
Yeah, I can say that if like nearly 50% of you pointed out that they don't use it yet, and I warmly recommend it. I mean, it is a revolution, and this is one of the revolution that you don't want to be the late adopters or the laggers and just think about it, that it's like the mobile revolution, the smartphone, that now everyone got a smartphone and understand the power of it and the evilness in it, and same goes for the AI revolution. It's a great tool, and it will help you in saving some of your precious time.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to jump into, Ronnie mentioned, what are we doing between all of this? What's going on in our world while we're trying to juggle more with less? Does this look familiar to anyone? So Ronnie, you want to speak to this as well?
Yeah, so we mentioned like many tasks that product managers and their peers are doing, but basically, there is a lot of in between, as Kate mentioned, and the first of them is meetings, right? We have a lot of meetings. I can assume that some of you or most of you find it quite familiar to see this kind of well, not this way, but it feels like it's that we have a lot of meetings, right? And part of those meetings are purely for updating and syncing, and you need to update that stakeholder and talk with and go over with this developer on this requirement, and there is a lot of ongoing tasks to explain what you're doing and to update and your peers and your stakeholders, and that takes a lot of time, right? And another thing that that many of product manager can feel related to is that, well, we're using a lot of tools, right? We're doing, most of us are making like PRDs on docs and writing specs on Jira, and then doing the prioritization on spreadsheet and doing the roadmap on PowerPoint. And that brings out a lot of overhead, right? Because basically, if not only that you need to do the same feeling, the same item in each of those tools, if something changed, then you have the tedious work of updating your PowerPoint, your roadmap that is on the PowerPoint that is based on the prioritization or on statuses that are from Jira. So, and if you don't do that, roadmap just rot. And when they rot, stakeholders come to you, and remember the last meeting, the last slide, they want more meetings, right? And that takes, and we have like not to insult anyone, but we have real work to do, right? And to promote the innovation and do the thing that our users and customers really need. We want to solve some problems, right? And so for that, to handle this overhead, so in the recent years, that there are new designated product management tools that have introduced in the market. One of them, as a disclaimer, is Craft.io, which is I'm one of the co-founders and also the CPO. So basically, what product management tools, and Craft.io is one option. I'm sure that you heard about other alternatives such as AHA, for instance. But something in common in those tools is that, first of all, you do all the day-to-day work on these tools, which is writing your specs and doing the prioritization and doing capacity planning and building roadmaps, and everything is synced seamlessly to the dev tools. Now, the thing behind it, and a part of that our main goal is to help us to make the right decision on what to build better, or what to build next, is that it saves time. Because first of all, it's a single source of truth. So basically, if you can think about the long backlog, it feeds the prioritization views and it feeds the roadmap. So, which means that everything is live. So if you, for example, change the status of an item, or it's being changed and automatically synced from Jira, you change, your roadmap automatically change. So now, instead of having to update your roadmap, everything is updated automatically, and then your stakeholders can just click on the link and just, if they want to get updated, they don't need to give you a phone. They don't need to call you, right? They just have a link, which it saves time. And the other thing about those meetings is that these tools can enable you to bring new views and to tell the story of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that eventually saves you time in meeting and thinking, because instead of having like 30 minutes meeting about why did you do this decision, or what's your roadmap, or what's your prioritization, you just send them the right view to the right audience. So this saves a significant amount of time of the in-between tasks.
Yeah, hey, so real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me back up. I think I skipped a slide, but I did want to ask. Yeah, Joe, go ahead.
Actually, I used Craft. Well, so I worked at Kimberly-Clark before I came to 280 Group. And, to Ronnie's point, if I could just summarize a couple of key things here, like the problems to be solved, I'll put on my product management hat. The problems we had at Kimberly-Clark and a lot of larger enterprises is demand collection, right? As product leaders, we're getting demand from multiple stakeholders. We either get in an email or Slack, or we get an Excite conversation. So there's a lot of wasted time trying to find where all that demand is located. Roadmap management, right, I think is a big one, because like as Ronnie said, they become stale. Plus you're dealing with version control. But the one that I find the biggest challenge with product leaders and product teams is the the teamwork, right? In terms of that transparency and showing what's going on in real time versus, having outdated content to share with your dev team. So encouraging or having better collaboration. So when it comes down to it, as someone that has used tools like AHA and Craft, we first have to remember a couple things. And this is like a big takeaway for everyone, because if you want to save time, you have to put in the work ahead, meaning you have to get clarity on your roles and responsibilities. What does the PM do? What does the BA or PO do? What does UX do? What does QA do? You can't really implement a tool without first having your house in order. You have to make sure there's some sort of consensus on even your product management framework, because the tool is meant to help you reinforce the behaviors that's part of your product management process. So don't let anyone tell you that, hey, the way to solve our product management at our company is by putting in a tool. That's not the case, right? You got to get your ducks in a row. You got to get your orders. You got to get your responsibilities and accountability aligned. Once you do, tools like Craft are immensely valuable because they streamline a lot of those processes. They make it easier for you to get some of your work done. They take away some of the noise that product managers deal with on a daily basis. And that's really when it comes time to saving time, that's where the time savings is, because you're putting out fewer fires. So think of this as like fire prevention versus firefighting, right? That's the way I would look at any of the product management things. Now, I will tell you, Craft is one of the best, if not the best out there, but that's for a different webinar. So as we dovetail into it, right? So we've talked about different AI tools. We've talked about complementary AI tools to ChatGPT and Bard. We've talked about product management tools, resource optimization, right? It doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I want to get down to some simplicity here in terms of, you know, one of the challenges we have as product leaders is we got to make sure that the resources we deploy are on the most meaningful and valuable products for our customer and our organization. And probably one of the most overlooked techniques in the product management space is a concept that we call, or that's called prototyping. So Kate, if you want to go to the next slide. So, right, Ronnie set the context earlier. We have to be very mindful of the resources that we have. So prototyping it's a mashup of pretend prototyping. It's an actual word. It was there's a gentleman from Google. I'm going to get his name right. Let's see. I believe his name was Alberto Savoia at Google. Basically, it's a set of tools, techniques, and tactics designed to help you validate any idea for a new product quickly, objectively, accurately, and cost efficiently. So let me dive into this a little bit, right? The idea here is before you actually write a line of code, before you actually deploy resources, what you're doing is you're validating your idea. If you think about it, as product leaders, there are three big questions we have to answer. Is it valuable? Is it feasible? Is it viable? This one answers the question, is it valuable? So Kate, if you go to the next slide. The idea here is what we want to do. Now the difference, let me take a step back. There's a difference between prototyping. Prototyping means you're actually building it, like you're validating whether or not this can work, right? So there's actually investment that goes into it. You're validating whether or not you can get your capability to deliver the value it can be. It's like it's a working, useful version of your product. Prototyping is before you even do that. The question is, how do we get to fast failure? How do we know where to best leverage our resources within our organization, and doing it with confidence, with minimizing the amount of risk that goes into deploying those resources. So now there are different techniques to doing this, right? If you want to go to the next slide, Kate. I'm kind of going through this pretty quickly just because I got a couple of examples, but if anybody in our optimal product management class, we talk about some of those different techniques, right? One is called the concierge test or Wizard of Oz or landing pages. I'm sure some of you may have seen these before. Kickstarter, that's an example of a prototype where you're validating idea. You're seeing if people are going to put money into it. Some of the ones that we're familiar with are like landing pages, and Ronnie's going to show you an example of one that they're doing at Craft. If you go to the next slide, right, let's talk about some of these examples. Now they're a little older, but the concepts are evergreen, right? There was the story of Cars Direct. There was a gentleman named Bill Gross, and he had a hypothesis. Would people buy cars online? He didn't know. He had a hypothesis. He had market research, but before he went and built a tool that allowed people to buy a car, he validated that. And so what he did is he actually, without having any car inventory, he created a simple website to see if people would actually go for it. And when people clicked the buy button, he bought the car at retail and delivered it to the customer. Now that was in a market, in a region, small scale, but over a weekend, he sold a few cars. Now he lost a little bit of money, but he validated the business idea, the business model for his idea. Now, many of you, if you know Zappos for shoes, they follow the same concept, right? You know, there was a gentleman that was the CEO of Zappos. He wasn't sure where people are willing to buy shoes online. And he did something very similar where he took pictures of shoes, posted them online, and then once people bought them, he went to the store and shipped it directly to the customer. But he was able to validate his idea before actually taking it, before actually doing the development. Now, I'm going to probably predate myself, but Palm Pilot did the same thing. Now, this was in the, I think, early 2000s. I'm probably dating myself. But Jeff Hawkins did the same thing where he actually created a wooden version of the Palm Pilot to test a couple of hypotheses. Would I carry something in this form factor, pocket size? What would I use it for? And what he learned from this form factor was right, and that he would use it primarily for a calendar, address book, and even simple note taking. So let's talk about some practical examples. So Ronnie, you're doing something, I think you call it hidden door or fake door. Is that what you call it from a prototyping concept? But you're doing this right now, even on craft.io. Do you want to kind of speak to it?
Yeah, cool. So thank you. So what you see here, it's basically, you know, we have an idea that as part of the onboarding, we want to set, Craft supports like a wide variety of prioritization methodologies, but we want that we have this concept, this idea that we wanted to validate to see if maybe we can ask the user to point out of the right of the prioritization methodology that he uses. Now, it can take like weeks or months to build such a tool, and we want to validate it first. So actually, the thing that we're doing as we speak in this week, even today, we've done one usability testing. Is basically we ask the developer. So when you click on when you see the pop-up, it's actually an image. And as you can see, if a user tries to click it, nothing happens because all of this is one image. It looks like 4 buttons, but it's one image. And the thing is that what we do, we validate it. We are putting this version on a staging environment, and we're doing the usability testing to see if the user, first of all, if the users are, you know, they have the option to click I'll do it later, or just, you know, click escape or outside of the pop-up. And we find out that they're actually, if they're trying to click on it, it means that we're doing it in the right time, and probably that it is of interest. And the second thing that we can do, and this is a concept that is quite similar to the Wizard of Oz, that what we can do that after they click, for example, on rice, we can do in our backend, and we can add them the rice methodology while they are working on these things. So actually, a part of having the confirmation that they click on it, it's actually they get the result, and then we can test it before we were running into instead of the alternative, which is developing everything from scratch and then doing the validation with some A/B testing or with usability testing. And that saves us a lot of time, because if we find out that it doesn't make sense and users just click out or they don't use it, we will not develop it. And we, by that, saving a lot of precious time of all the peers and all this, the life cycle of releasing a new feature. So this is something that I highly recommend. And it also enforces you to validate your idea, which is something that we as a product manager sometimes forget, because you get locked on an idea and you say, yeah, this will work for surely, and then you just deploy it and then you move on. So this enforces you to validate the ideas. So it's a practice I highly recommend.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Joe, I have a question for you about speaking to that, how to make sure it's the right idea. And I kind of glanced over a slide earlier, building the right thing at the right time. Do you have any examples of horribly failed products that maybe should not have gone past the prototyping, or, just didn't do this step and what happened?
You know, uh, you know, at 280, we actually do this quite often, right? There are definitely different workshop concepts where we do
Yep.
this pretty frequently with our customers. One that probably many of us in this call don't even realize even happened was the mixed spaghetti,
So
right?
wrong.
Which is gross on so many levels, but there was a time where McDonald's in the 70s was actually piloting whether or not customers that come into a fast food restaurant and order spaghetti, and it didn't work, right? And what they did is they put it on the menu. They looked at the number of people that would order it, and they would be like, "Oh, we're out. Can I offer you a free hamburger?" So what they wanted to do is they wanted to validate some of those concepts. I did this a lot when I was at Reader's Digest and Taste of Home, where we would do different marketing ideas, different offer placement, different types of capabilities. Like to Ronnie's point, before you put the investment in,
Yeah.
making sure that there is value there from the end user, and that's really what we're trying to do. Again, leveraging, getting more with less, making sure that those resources are being deployed on the most meaningful and valuable capabilities for your organization.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've probably all been in some situation where we feel like we're still going down this road because that's what we have on our roadmap, but we're kind of sinking more and more resources. And at some point it's, we're wondering, are we building the right thing for our customers? So definitely important to know early on in the process if you're on the right track, because that certainly can bite you later on. So let's jump ahead here. Any other prototyping or comments on this before we jump in? I'll open the poll the poll while if you have any final thoughts on this topic.
Hey, Ronnie, while we wait for the poll, there's a question from Salvador. How does that work exactly? The user can click, but nothing happens. So in the example you shared, what happens when the user collects one of the 4 boxes? Like, does something change on the back end? Like, what's the impact to the end user?
So at the first phase of this test, nothing happens. I mean, nothing happens. It clicks and nothing happens. But when the user clicks and we're doing usability testing, when we're interviewing the user while doing it, we're asking, okay, what were you expecting that would happen if you click on that, or what are you aiming to, and or why did you decide not to click on it, and then we can add in the back end. I can type in, or if we add like a rice prioritization, I can add it for him. But I save all the time of the connection between the front end and the back end, and that's a true time saver for development.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. All right. So I see about half of us have voted. Anyone else? Again, go for it in the chat if you have any other ways that you're using prototypes or validating your customers' interests with your product or feature. All right, so I'm going to end poll and share in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so let me go ahead and share. We have an overwhelming one this time, not so much a tie. Customer interviews and focus groups. So 73% of respondents noted that one. So that's interesting. I'm curious if anyone wants to type in the chat. How is it creating questions? Is it summarizing findings? What type of things are you using this tool for in that space? And Joe and Ronnie, if you have reactions, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, actually, I think so. Customer interviews and focus group is good. There was a question in the chat. You can do multiple, right? You don't have to do just one. Depending on the type of product or type of capability, it may lend itself to one of these other techniques. So, like if you're beginning, like if you're a startup, you may do a concierge where there's a little bit more hand holding. Whereas if you have a digital product, you may do more Wizard of Oz or landing pages, or even if you're thinking about a startup or a new product, that's where Kickstarter or crowdfunding or explainer videos come into play. So it really depends on the stage that your product is in. That will help drive what technique lends itself better.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to add that validation is good not only for validating a product if it's viable, if it's makes sense, but it's an ongoing effort. You have like you can have like a very mature product, and you want to test something really small in this mature product or an alternation of that, and you can just save time by doing validation before that. It's ideally every task, that every new feature, it's better to validate before. I know sometimes it's tedious work, and you say, okay, anyway, we're going to develop it, so let's just save the time of the test and we'll develop it. But at the longer run, it is crucial for the success to test things out.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I know we're running up on time, so I'm going to make sure that we get you guys some of the fabulous deals that we have. So first of all, please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. While I'm sharing this, also add your questions into the Q&A. We're happy to follow up on that with you guys. So please do that. Here's the very special deals that I wanted to make sure you all got before you might have to jump. So please take this down. This is some wonderful codes and deals that we have. It ends today, or I'm sorry, it ends, prices go up tomorrow and the sale ends next Tuesday. So grab it today. This is the prime time to do that. 20% off. Yeah, so definitely write that down. PM Day is our promo code for 280 Group, and you can see the contact us. So definitely take advantage of that. We actually do have a couple of classes coming up, a live online one with Bill, and then your very own right here, Joe, has a live in person in Wisconsin. So if you want to hear more from him, that's certainly where to go. So yeah, so I'm going to jump back to our offer slide, but we have maybe like 1 minute to answer questions. We will certainly follow up again with the recording. And if there's some questions we can answer in that as well. Joe and Ronnie, is there any kind of final words that you want to share, or if you've looked through the Q&A, if there's a question that you want to touch on before our time's up? And I'll turn it to Ronnie first, or Joe, if you're ready, because I saw you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Ronnie.
So I think we cover basically two main topics. Which is the first one is how to optimize your current tasks that you have, and the second part was how to choose the right task to do. And both of them, at the end, they save you the precious time, the precious resources that you have. And on a personal note, I really enjoyed this webinar, and you guys rock. And thank you everyone who joined the webinar. It was great fun.
Thanks, Ronnie. Joe, anything from you?
So what we're going to do, there's some really good questions that we didn't get to. So what we'll do is we'll create some videos. So be on the lookout on LinkedIn. I actually just put in my LinkedIn URL. So follow Ronnie, Kate, and I in the 280 Group and Craft. And what you will see are some additional videos and blog content coming out. So remember, when it comes time to PM tools, you got to get clarity on roles and responsibilities. You got to get clarity on your product management framework. Make sure your stakeholders are aligned. Then you bring on the tool, right? You gotta get your house in order before you do that. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to type them in the chat or the Q&A, and we will do our best to get back to you with some of those questions. I know there's one about trade secrets and NDAs and information. I have our resident expert helping me answer those. So be on the lookout for those answers in our upcoming blog.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Thank you both. This has been wonderful, and thank you for your participation, everyone. Like I said, we'll be in touch with some emails. Grab these deals before they go. So final chance, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you guys soon. I appreciate it. Thank you.